in. Let's try it again.
Good morning, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, the 15th of January, 2025. Welcome to TDA, the day after your favorite news platform and the home of popular culture as defined by you guys, the culture. And of course, we are hosted by the very best. Brent, how you doing, man?
Blessed and highly favored. Apologies, everybody, for the late start. There were a lot of gremlins in the system, so apologies. Let me see who is in the chat. Even my mouse is not even working, people. So
They're trying it, man. The
yeah,
haters.
never mind. Good morning, Energy. Good morning, Christy. Good morning. That's all I'm seeing, but I'm sure that's not all
What,
that's there.
In your thingy?
Yeah. Let me refresh this. It's crazy how much stuff is just mashing up. All right, cool. Let's see. Good morning, Energy. Good morning, Timmy. Good morning, Christy. Good morning, Amy Snowglobe. Good morning, Nine Ether. Good morning, Wavy Staben. Wavy. Good morning, Mr. Ashlows. Good morning, Mercy Prestige. Good morning, Dr. Mani. Good morning, Davina. Good morning, Lauren Lewis. Good morning, Bimi. Good morning, Chijoke. Good morning, Ghana Greatness. Good morning, SLM86. Good morning, B. Lawal. McCoy Man Yang. Good morning, Izzy Bambino. Good morning, Everest. Johannes Williams. Davina. I said that. Star Crew, R&B, Big Miles, Cameron. Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning, people.
What have we got here? Happy birthday. Yeah.
His birthday.
Happy birthday. It's all of them. I think that's how it goes. It is Jackie's birthday.
Big up.
I think it's Jackie's birthday. Give her some horns.
Happy birthday, Jackie. You didn't tell me.
Jackie, 21 years old today.
Yes.
Brand spanking 21 years old. Anywho, apparently my father tutored Jackie.
Yeah, that's what she was saying to me. She was saying she thinks that's the case. Has she confirmed it now?
Well, she told me that she had this suspicion. I mean, it would have been nice if you'd have told me.
No, yeah, but she was asking me, and I was like, oh, it could be, I don't know. Yeah, but she didn't seem like entirely sure in it.
Yeah.
It might have been the case.
Yeah, I mean, she said that your mother had sorted it out.
Yeah, but my mom knows other people, innit?
You serious? She knows other teachers?
No, but I mean, like, she may just, it could have been somebody else. I don't know.
That's so interesting because my life is so cocoonish that I can't hear something like that and think it isn't what it is. But your life is so expansive that it could be a myriad of different options. Do you understand? Yeah. So I'm like, well, of course it's my father.
Well,
She said he's tall.
Yeah.
She said he had the accent, Trinidadian. And he said some story about how when he came home, all his children, like, they were supposed to be working, but they ran to basically pretend that they're working when they heard the car. That's my life. That's my life.
That's
So
small world, man.
That is nice. That is nice. So I now see Jackie as my sister. So nothing can ever happen. Darn. Shucks. Sorry, Jackie. Yeah. Today we're ending very, very early because I have to go to Spotify. So let's get into the headlines.
No, we got a comment.
You have a comment. Yeah.
All right. So this comment was put on the YouTube, yeah.
Yes, on YouTube.
Okay, so this person, One Lazu, says it felt like Emmanuel's point was misunderstood. My reasoning from his point is that the word cheating already contains a negative moral value, that you have broken an agreement of monogamy. Using the island analogy, if the islanders do not subscribe to the belief in monogamy, cheating doesn't exist as a concept, as all non-monogamy is ethical. On such an island, people can move freely between partners as they don't see transition as disloyalty. The use of language is important. Great episode. That's exactly what I was saying. Big up you. An amazing critical thinker. 100% comprehension skills. Love it. Keep listening. Call up one day. I'm pretty sure I'll agree with you.
All right. Let's get into the headlines.
All right, people. So our first headline, Tulip Siddiq resigned as the Treasury Minister following pressure over an anti-corruption investigation in Bangladesh. Did you hear about this, Brent?
Did I hear about Bangladesh news?
No, she's from the UK. She's a Treasury Minister. Don't worry, I'll keep you up to date.
Thank you very much.
So basically, she referred herself to Prime Minister's Standards Advisor, Solori Magnus, who found no evidence of improprieties, but criticised her lack of awareness of reputational risks linked to her family. So Sadiq's aunt, Sheikh Hasina, the former Bangladeshi Prime Minister, was ousted and exiled last year amid corruption allegations. Sadiq faced scrutiny over ties to her aunt and the King's Cross flat reportedly gifted by a developer that was connected to Hasina's government, right? So Solori noted that Sadiq misunderstood the origins of her property ownership, inadvertently misleading the public. However, he found no evidence of improper financial agreements or links to the Awami League. So allegations in Bangladesh raised by a political opponent, Bobby Hajjaj, include claims that Sadiq helped broker an overpriced nuclear plant deal with Russia back in 2013. Sadiq denied involvement, saying that she attended only for personal reasons. And then obviously this whole property thing and all that sort of stuff. So people are acting as though she brokered it and she got paid for it. But obviously, as seen here, you know what I mean? She didn't mislead nobody on purpose. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer accepted her resignation with sadness, while the Tory leader Kemi Badenoch criticised his handling of the matter, calling it weak leadership. Emma Reynolds was appointed as Sadiq's replacement as Economic Secretary to the Treasury. Next headline, and around 300 African migrants continue to occupy Paris's, I can't pronounce this, one of their long-term theatres, man. Gate Lorik Theatre, right? So 5 weeks after refusing to leave following a refugee conference held at the venue. The occupation began on December 10th and has forced the cancellation of all performances until January 24th. The theatre company, known for its radical leftist programming, faces a severe financial crisis due to the ongoing occupation, with all performances cancelled and revenue streams disrupted. The venue, which relies on ticket sales for 70% of its income, is struggling to meet the overhead costs, including wages for its 60 employees. However, the theatre management stated it would be unthinkable for Gate Lorik to throw these people out onto the streets in the middle of winter. Oh, that's good. That's good. Big up there, man. The theatre's income has collapsed, according to management, threatening its ability to maintain operations while balancing humanitarian concerns. The situation has sparked tensions amongst local businesses, theatre management, and city officials. I'm glad they kicked them out. But obviously the government or somebody has to step in and help, man. Last headline. The start of 2025 is seeing a renewed push for return to office policies by the major companies in the world, man. So Amazon and AT&T announced at the end of 2024 that employees must work in the office 5 days a week this year. JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs have ended hybrid attendance policies and have mandated full-time office work. Many executives argue that in-person work boosts productivity and collaboration. Some CEOs who previously praised remote work have reversed their stance, with certain companies now tracking attendance and dismissing non-compliant employees. Companies requiring employees to return to the offices include, guys, take note, Amazon, Apple, AT&T, BlackRock, Chipotle, Citigroup, HSBC, Barclays, Dell, Disney, Goldman Sachs, Google, IBM, JP Morgan, Meta, Redfin, Salesforce, Snap, Starbucks, Sweet Green, Tesla, Ubisoft, X, Uber, Walmart, the Washington Post, Zoom. Sounds like a lot of American companies, but yeah. Some of that may seep in over here as well. But yeah, that's it for the headlines. Let's get into our topic of the day. All right, people. So today's topic of the day. Obviously, we ain't going to be too long in this, but this clip was sent to me by Kwame. Big up Kwame, man. He always sends me some real good, provoking clips, right, that he knows I'm going to relate to, right? And this particular clip, Brent, if you don't mind loading it up, basically speaks to the relationship that we sometimes talk about every now and again between African people and African Americans. But I think you can kind of extend it, especially in the UK, to maybe Africans and Caribbeans, right? And basically how there's this, to be fair, it's not unspoken, right? There has been this narrative talking about how African people kind of don't like African Americans, right? And you typically obviously hear this from African Americans, and you typically hear it especially with the whole FBA people, right? So this particular clip kind of disproves that and says, where does this narrative come from? So I pretty much wanted to bring this to you guys and ask the question of, where does this narrative actually come from? Because if we actually go into the history, it's not true. It's not true. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
It's not true that Africans despise African Americans.
Yeah, I don't think it's the case of just despising African Americans. It might be, again, we'll get into it. But yeah, if you don't mind playing that clip. Stacey, get your phone ready, please. I'm going to call up.
Are telling me in my comments, because I'm not from here, I don't have the right to speak about them. I've heard too many times that African Americans believe that we Africans look down upon them when we come to this country, that we think we're better than them. It's false. When we were young in Africa, we worshipped African Americans. Yes. We changed our names to African Americans. My friends in school were called Jim Brown, Black Moses. Yes.
Wow.
I was called Superfly.
Okay.
Yes.
Go King.
Blacks in Africa, the barber shop, we go to barber shop until blacks started wearing afro, and we stopped and we started wearing afro.
Really?
We blacks hated our own fabric, the dashiki, until African Americans made it popular in the 70s, and we all started wearing it back. As a case, I had his albums. We've watched all the movies. Kool-Aid High, TNT Jackson, A Hell Up in Harlem, Detroit 9000, Truck Turner, you name it. And then we go home and we're trying to practice how they speak and all that. That was when we were in Africa. Ask any African who went through the 60s and 70s. They'll tell you, oh, we love them. Maya Angelou moved to Ghana, and she was like a sister. 14 years she lived in Ghana. Her son had an accident and broke his leg and arm in Ghana. African Americans are telling me in my comments, because I'm not from here, I don't have the right to speak about them. Do you know W.E.B. Du Bois? Do you know where he died? He died in Ghana, was buried in Ghana, and Nkrumah built a center for Pan-African studies. He came to Africa, the first black PhD holder from Harvard, W.E.B. He came to Ghana, Africa, to tell us that our best way is to be Pan-Africanist. We listened to him. We didn't tell him, who are you to come from the United States and tell us what to do? There's a guy called Kwame Ture. He was formerly called Stokely Carmichael. He's the one who came up with Black Power, Black Power. Do you know where he is right now? In Guinea, in Africa, with pistols on his hip. When you go into my comments, African Americans are saying, I don't know anything about them. Hear me. Know you, the African Americans, more than you know yourself. Why? Because I am coming from the place where they brought you from. So when I got here and I looked at you, I see too much of us in you, and that's why we stay away from you. African Americans are telling me in my comments.
What do you think about that, Brent? What's your thoughts?
Well, straight away, he spoke for the entirety of Africa.
All right. Cool.
And now I hear that he's Ghanaian. Are we speaking in sweeping general terms here? Because if we are, then I'm allowed to basically just take what he said as gospel, right? Because he would know more Ghanaians that live that particular life than I would. So I don't know what to say about it just yet. I'm still processing it.
Well, even if you don't want to go by the generalizations, yeah, do you feel like there are obviously like real legit cases of Africans hating African Americans? Are they hating, and if that is the case, are they hating them for being African American, or is it something else? Is it something else?
Do I know why it is some African Americans say that Africans hate them? I don't know. Maybe it's the ones that come over there and have like run-ins with them, have disputes with them, and they start to say that y'all are dumb. I don't know. I don't know if it's in large parts true. I don't live there, but
this is why I tried to relate to African and Caribbeans here in the UK, because that's more so our experience, isn't it? It's not exactly the same because we all kind of came here, isn't it?
So explain that to me. How can I use my experience or the experience of my fellow West Indians that came here?
More so, just some of the
relate to
tensions.
this.
More so some of the tensions between like Africans and Caribbeans, where it's like, okay, cool. Both sides may say there's something about the other side they don't like, and so maybe keep your kids away from them, or maybe don't behave like them. That sort of narrative.
Okay, that I can speak to because I remembered like back in the day the type of conversations, right? So is that what you want me to put my mind to?
Because I think that's basically how it is in America.
All right. So you're saying a group of African people, let's say West African people, they've come to Britain and they've set up shop and they're seeing other blacks, Caribbeans, and they're telling them whatever they're telling them. And West Indians are telling the West Africans, whatever they're telling them. And you're saying it's mirrored in America. So Africans go to America and they're seeing those African Americans and they're seeing displaced, y'all have lost your culture, it's diluted, and in so being, your brain has rotted.
Okay.
No, is that not?
I can't necessarily. I can give my
the customs. It's too westernized.
I don't think it's that. Okay, you know what? Let me just get into, I guess, my opinion of it. I don't necessarily think African people dislike African Americans just because. I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of the tensions is because of the lifestyle differences. And I think sometimes some Africans feel as though they're not accepted or seen the same. They're treated differently. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it might be an NG thing or it might really be an experience thing. And because there's a disparity in the culture, just like if you were to go back home and maybe a Yoruba person may not get on necessarily somebody who's well off, for example, or somebody from Senegal, right? Whatever. Just in terms of cultural differences, they might be like, okay, cool, let me keep to my own. You know what I'm saying? You might get that same relationship between someone who's Ashanti and someone who's Ga, right? Just, okay, you know what? Yeah, it's fine. We can get on and all that sort of stuff. But because we're different, we just kind of just do different things. And I think sometimes that's not necessarily understood in America because on one side, someone may be thinking we look the same and we're kind of treated the same in this foreign world that we find ourselves in. So why are we at odds? You know what I'm saying? I think that might be it. And then it obviously kind of exacerbates and then you find yourself just hating people or there's just tension between two groups of people that really should be getting on. So I don't think it's just a case of it. And this is why I resonate with what he was saying. That is actually true that a lot of what he was saying anyway, that back in the day, it wasn't necessarily a case of people just hating. No, Africans looked to America. They looked to African Americans, Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, all these people, and were like, wow. You know what I'm saying? The liberation, the fight over there, the civil rights fight, we can do that here. You know what I'm saying? So where did it go wrong? Where did it go wrong? Where now you've got organizations like FBAs, for example, I'm not even sending shots at them, but basically trying to make it very clear that we are not you and you are not us. Do your own thing and do not take any responsibility or whatever it may be for the achievements that we have done by ourselves here in America. They want to make it real clear that we're different. Where did that come from? That's basically what I'm getting at. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the British experience, I could speak more to because I really don't know anything about the American experience and what happens over there at all. Especially seeing as the amount of entertainment that would have been ported into Africa from American shores would have seen them, put them on a pedestal. That lifestyle, that culture, and them wanting to be there. Hence the influx of Africans, immigrating to America, right? But I guess the same is said with Britain, right? And I could speak to that because in some form of fashion, I've lived that. Yeah. I remember the clashes. I don't know if everything was as violent as it was before my generation now, appeared, because I know there were clashes before then. But I think in large parts we came together to fight our joint enemy, right? And in that, it got easier to live.
Was that
I think I remember mocking, not me mocking, by the way, certain accents from Africa, right? And I remember the rebuttal was like, you're diluted. you're not like us. You're washed out, as in Africans basically speaking to Caribbeans.
As in okay, cool.
Yeah. And I remember a lot of their parents not wanting their children to fraternize with Caribbean boys, and Caribbean girls.
But let's stay on that point though. And this is basically what I'm getting at. Was it because they was Caribbean, or was it because sometimes they saw certain behaviors that was very distinct from the culture that they came from, and they didn't want that?
How do you separate that?
Okay, I'll give you an example. Of course, this all comes from generalizations. This all comes from stereotypes, right? So it may not be an accurate thing, but that's basically how I kind of see it. So, for example, the African that goes to America, right, and sees certain, let's just be frank, certain degenerate behavior, and we're like, wait a minute, we don't big this up. We're not proud of this sort of behavior back home. I don't want my daughter to be my daughter's dressing like this. I don't want my sons to be thinking it's cool to just have 20 kids all over the damn place. All these sort of things that as a community we don't like, the African would have come there and seen it there throughout the community, unfortunately, right? Similar thing in Britain. Africans may have come to Britain and seen certain things that, certain stereotypes that would have come from, especially maybe Jamaican communities as well, because I guess, for lack of a better word, they were the loudest. You know what I'm saying? This is why back in the day you can kind of just group Caribbeans as Jamaicans. That's just everyone did. You know what I'm saying? And it will be that sort of thing, because I know that there's families where Africans will look at certain families, Caribbean families, and think, wow, this is a stand-up family. Your family, for example. You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool. I would love my kids to be around these guys. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to those guys. So it's not. I don't think it's a Caribbean thing or a American thing. It's more so a cultural thing, behavior.
So until we can get an American on to talk about American experience, let's focus on the Black British experience. Okay. The last thing you just said.
Why can't I hear you in the mic properly?
I did ask you how you can separate it, right? How you can separate the behavior and the characteristic that they've stereotyped Caribbeans, and it not to be also because they're Caribbean. How can you separate that? If they're only seeing that characteristics and they're forming the stereotypes off of those particular characteristics, you're only going to basically, one, as you said, group every single Caribbean as Jamaican, and then say, don't go buy them Jamaicans. So it is because they're Caribbean. It goes hand in hand, no?
No, but to some degree, as maybe a protective measure, okay, keep them at arm's length sort of thing. But when you interact with people, you know that's just not the case. You know it's not real. You know what I'm saying? Like one of my mum's good friends Jamaican. You people's Trinidadian. You know what I'm saying? Like you interact with people and you know that narrative is fake.
Oh, no. Obviously, after a while, with more information, you educate yourself. But we're talking about the generalizations, right?
But is it a case of educating yourself or just experience? So, for example, from afar, even if you don't, even if, all right, put it this way. Let's just say you just newly moved to a council estate and you're seeing certain black people treated in a particular way, right? Especially back then, because West Indians were here first, right? Especially in larger numbers and stuff. The people that that the police may target would be, let's just say, West Indians. So that sort of thing where it's like, okay, cool, this is what's happening to these black people over there. We don't want that necessarily happening to our kids, for example. I'm just trying to think of something. So there's a certain sort of thing where it's like, okay, cool. We know that this is what they're doing over there. Keep that separate from what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? It might be a protective thing also. As opposed to
I understand that.
Okay, cool.
But I don't want to complicate this. You had said that they could have stereotypes, but it was separate from them just being Caribbean. But that's how it would have started. As soon as they had accent, they would have automatically thought, all right, this particular family, this particular boy, this particular girl might have these particular characteristics. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay.
And only when it is that you now get to know them, you then realize, oh, you're not like that. You just mentioned my family wasn't like that. Or your mother has a good friend that's Jamaican. But that doesn't take away from her still believing that, no, that's part of the culture. You're just different. You're a unique case.
Yeah.
You're the outlier. Do you understand? And the same on the flip side.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Good morning, Isaac.
Morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, let me know if the audio.
It's cutting in and out, man. Last thing we heard was audio.
He needs to get a different device to access the Discord. Whatever device
Hello?
you're using is not working. It's not working,
Hello?
sir.
Yeah, hello? Can you hear us?
Yeah, is it still kind of?
It's a bit better.
We'll see.
Yeah, let's see.
Okay. Yeah, this is a very
It's
a
not
few
work-
videos on especially related.
Nah,
Nah,
man,
this is
you're,
not
you're
working,
chopping up
man.
again. You're chopping up. What are you using to?
Okay.
What are you using to
Just-
come on here? Is it laptop? Is it phone? What is it?
On my phone.
Okay. And are you on Wi-Fi? Are you in an area in your house that is patchy?
Whether it's Wi-Fi or data, specifically.
Can't hear you. I can't hear you, sir. Too choppy.
Hello?
Yeah, it's not going to work. This relationship is not going to work.
Okay, let me just get a point. Phone will allow me.
Okay.
I think
Isaac, it's not working,
I
man.
would be
It's really bad, man, unfortunately.
okay. Call back later. I'll call.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you step out? Are you inside?
One sec. I'll call back later.
Okay, cool. We'll be done by 10 though.
And you will find out.
Sorry.
And I found out how to pattern the stage. Yeah, I found out how to do it.
What, in what capacity?
You know how everybody was hearing everybody backstage.
How the
when I
hell
meet
did you
them.
manage to do that though?
Huh? How to find out?
No, as in how the hell? So everyone was just chatting
Yeah.
and
So essentially, let me just explain to you. This particular UI just shows me what's happening and what everybody will be hearing because obviously it's in front of my face. So if I mute just the surface,
yeah.
the background is still going on, right? We don't hear what's happening in the background because I've muted the surface, right? Now, I found out that I can now, on their back end, trigger their mute. Because what
Okay.
essentially they're supposed to do is
mute
when I
themselves.
mute it, they're supposed to mute.
Okay.
Do you understand? But I sometimes mute impromptu. Do you understand? And you only find out afterwards. So instead now, I'm going to mute it here and trigger
There one.
their one also.
Okay, cool.
So it locks it off so they get
Get the
the
message.
idea. Yeah,
Alright,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right. But yeah, okay, Brent, back to what we were saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. You're basically saying the two are obviously intrinsically linked to some
I
degree.
think so. Until they then, get to know them and they realize, okay, you're not like this. And yes, education and more experiences with people might then lead them to believe that I should change the way I think about Jamaica
Yeah.
as a whole and just treat each case differently.
Where did this come from, though? Because basically, my starting point, again, I could be wrong. I want you or anybody else to correct me. I think my starting point is basically where the gentleman's starting point is, where we looked across and we saw figures. This may sound silly, but we saw people like Bob Marley. We saw people like, you know what I'm saying, Malcolm X and all these amazing people, and thought, wow, our cousins, our brothers and sisters across the, you know what I mean, across the sea is over there. And we admired those people. But then when we got there, like what happened?
So I guess generations.
Yeah,
During the time in which it is that he is citing, this is world news at this point. This thing that's happening in America, in Americas or whatever, it's permeating all across the globe. So when you're picking up your newspapers, you're seeing this headline, and in my mind, you're inspired by it because you know that a great injustice has been had with your people and they're not over there.
Yeah.
So that's what's in your mind. And I'm guessing in the schools, I don't know what the schooling system was like. What did you learn when you went to Ghana as it pertains to African studies or Black studies? I don't know what it would have been called. Did you learn any of the history?
Of Africa, or you mean of?
I don't know. In the curriculum, when it is that you were in boarding school,
Yeah.
what type of curriculum was it?
Ooh.
Turn into history.
Wow, I'm trying to remember now. I guess a lot of history to do with Africa, to be fair.
Serious?
Yeah, in terms of independence and all that sort of stuff. Because
But nothing to do with transatlantic slave.
yeah,
trade.
all that stuff, yeah, and the
Okay.
colonization, all that stuff, yeah. 100%.
So in my mind, maybe that speaks to his point. I do believe, right? I am leaning towards that now as I'm processing it, that they would have been brought up with respect
Yeah.
over there, especially seen as everything that was ported as it pertains to the civil rights movement and this and next, they would have heard about and be like, yeah, our brothers and sisters across the aisle are doing good. But if it is that they're getting media, and in that media you're having caricatures of Africans, quote unquote Africans, and there's mocking involved in there, would they now soak that in and think that's how we're treated?
What do you mean? As in, so
you had Coming to America, right? I don't know what other famous movies that I could draw on, but you saw his experience when he went to America, right?
yeah,
Would they, upon seeing that, think that's how America is? The same way they would see movies from Britain and think everything's rosy over there,
Yeah.
let's go. That's how media influences,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%.
So that's your only entrance to life in America.
but I think it's also because remember that movie obviously was set in America, yeah, and the interactions that they kind of showed in the movie is because there was Africans in New York and Africans in America. You know what I'm saying? So it came from a real life thing. But that was just the 80s. Prior to that, though, in the 70s and stuff, and 60s, that wasn't necessarily the case.
Oh, I'm aware. He mentioned certain movies that I don't know about. I start by saying the generational. Depending on the generation, they would have a different lens, a different view of America. I know Coming to America, so that's why I mentioned that. You mentioned there were Africans in New York and this and that. Do you just mean black people?
No, I said African people that would have came from Africa and traveled to New York.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
By that time, 100%.
Even before that, even in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, 100%. By that time, 100%.
But what the reason why I mention it is because I'm basically trying to say that the relationship was different. So civil rights was done. Civil rights act has already been passed, all that sort of stuff, long before the 80s. So you've got a couple of decades, right, since. So maybe the interactions between African people, African American people, had changed. Maybe people didn't feel the need to be so on the same team anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because whenever I've heard stories, again, just like what he said, like Fela, for example, yeah, he studied in London, and he was inspired by Pan-African movements and all that sort of stuff. Then he came back, and he was the revolutionary. You know what I'm saying? So he got the inspiration from abroad. You know what I'm saying? Coming and mixing with black people, Caribbean people who are going through injustices there, as in here in the UK and in America and stuff like that. So, but then something changed later on, decades down the line, where you wouldn't come to America to the UK and America and maybe be inspired like it was back then.
So before we introduce the panel members, yeah,
Yes.
because there are about 4 people there.
Okay, cool.
This interview looks like it was done the other day,
Yeah.
and there are 2 young people sat there experiencing a world that is brand new, and they know nothing about his world. So he's speaking about a time.
Yep.
He's coming into a time he may not know about what the landscape is now. And I don't know if the people now are speaking about, yeah, way back in your time is when this and next. It's not the case. I mean, who's that FBA guy who's leading everything? Tariq whatever. How old is he?
He's probably about 50, I'd say.
All right, cool. And he used to be a quote unquote lover of Africa, innit?
Yeah, I
He
mean,
tried a hustle where is that he went back and he was this place is beautiful, blah blah blah, and he was like the grift isn't working. To me, do a different one.
I mean, I can see why you say that. I don't agree because I don't know if it might have genuinely, you know what I mean? Because people transition. But long story short, he's been part of like the conscious community for some decades now.
Yeah. I remembered him being a positive part of the conscious community.
Yep.
Only now is when it is that he's now said, nah, let's change that. I need to set up my own thing here and be a cult leader. I'm joking. It's jokes, mine.
Well, you've got someone in Queen already, to be fair.
He's a cult leader?
He's a grifter.
Good morning, Stacey. Good morning, Ed. Good morning, Isaac again. And good morning to Shana. Chime in, please. Chime in.
I don't know where to start.
Ooh,
I took so many pauses.
Yeah. There are quite a few. Let's go back to the Africa / America experience. Let's jump up to the Black British one. The clip that you saw just now. What are your thoughts on it? Just your thoughts after watching it.
Definitely talked about it from a different perspective than what's usually talked about.
Cool.
Which I can appreciate. But
Can you come closer to the microphone?
Can you hear me?
I can, but not loud.
Can't hear me? I'm on my laptop today.
All right.
Just run it. Can you hear?
Just run it.
Okay, sorry. He definitely addressed it from a different perspective than what I'm used to hearing. He addressed it more from the perspective of like being inspired by a lot of things that came out of Black people from America, but I don't think that it addresses like the issue with how I wouldn't even just limit it to how Africans view African Americans, but how we view each other here when you're living in America. I think the last of the generation of at least the concerning Africans when it comes to this particular issue was definitely my mom's generation, like people who came maybe like the late 80s, early 90s. There's definitely a mixture of disrespect on both ends, or how we view each other can differ depending on who you're talking to. But when it comes to Africans looking down on African Americans, I think that's 1,000% true. I sit in a very interesting part of it because remember, both my parents are Kenyan. I'm born and raised in Compton. Like, I've been around Black people all my life, African Americans all my life. Honestly, arguably more than I've been around Africans. And I think just the things that I've seen, not just from my parents, but from my relatives, about how they talk about or how they look at African Americans, is very in line with what the first comment that was made was. Like, it's a perspective thing. I think there's cultural differences where we place a lot of value when it comes to education, jobs, finances, different milestones in life are very different compared to African Americans. And I think the way that Africans go about communicating that difference in values is in an inferior way. Like, for example, one of the things, I'll give a personal example. When I was in high school, we have this thing out here called prom. I'm sure y'all have it too. And a big thing in the Black community is like the way they send their kids off to prom, you would absolutely think that this is like a wedding. But to them, like it's not often that you see, and I'm not generalizing, at least this is just what's around me. It's not very often, it's become increasingly often, but in the past, it wasn't as often that you saw kids, lock in on school, get good grades, graduate, go on to college. So this is something for their parents that is very important on top of having the finances to be able to afford sending their kid off in this grandeur way that maybe their parents weren't able to do for them. My mom was like, that shit is ridiculous. Like, you're spending thousands of dollars scrapping together and fundraising to put your kid in red bottoms, but in a few months, you're going to ask me to fundraise to buy books for school. What are we talking about? But like, it's a difference in priorities. And I don't think one is less than, the other, but you have to understand where that comes from. For my parents, it was more education. Like, you need to go to school and get a good job. I might throw your graduation party, or we might celebrate you graduating when you go to college and get a degree, but I'm not about to throw you this grand experience or this grand party for graduating high school. That's something that is standard. I expect that of you. Complete opposite for African Americans. And I think that translates also into the workplace. And I think the funny thing about the workplace, which I think that kind of stimulates a lot of Africans, or justifies in a lot of Africans' mind that what they're doing is correct. How they're viewed in the workplace sometimes can be better. And I don't want to say better as in they're treated better, but I think that they are not respected more, but I think they fooled themselves to think that it's more respect because it's compliance. And that's not to call African Americans incompliant, but there's something about, it's an assimilation thing. Like, I want to be up there with my other white peers, and it's like I want to be their equal. And you think that doing as they say and following all the rules and not being disobedient, not because you're being disobedient just for just, but like you advocating for themselves, to them sometimes can be disobedience in the workplace. They conflate that with things that, Black people already get a bad reputation in the workplace, but if you're compliant, oftentimes they'll give you a little bit more perks. They think that African Americans tend to be on the less compliant side, when honestly, sometimes it could just be them advocating for themselves in ways that you probably don't want to, because you feel like it's going to interfere with your ability to be seen as their equal. So yeah.
Amazing points there.
Thank you very much, Stacey, so far. Ed, Isaac, you're back, and Tashana. Let's go with Ed first. Okay, Isaac?
What's the audio saying?
We'll see.
I think I did a few videos on TikTok. I think as far as our social media take, I don't think African Americans are really like Africans.
Sorry, can I ask if it is that you have an Android?
What's the point?
Nah, you got an iPhone, man.
Basically, it's still chopping, chop. So I wanted to know what device you had, so I could
Improvement?
I could troubleshoot. I've got an extensive knowledge on both devices, so I wanted to know which one was yours.
Wait.
Android. It's not working, Isaac. It's not working. Ed?
Yo, you can hear me, yeah?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Do you have an iPhone?
I'm on my laptop still, so...
Is it a Mac or is it Windows?
Yeah, it's a Mac.
Come on.
Come on, man. Ed, I thought you knew better, man.
All right, what are your thoughts, my friend?
So I'll jump back on like in the Black British thing, the Black British perspective. I was while Stacey was talking, I was starting to think more and more about it, and that obviously this is all guesswork on my end from certain things I've seen and whatnot. But I do think there's definitely probably a part of like I think two things I thought about. One, I feel like Caribbeans as a whole, not specifically you, Brent, you might not have, but as a whole, I think obviously a lot of you came here with the perception that you are British, because of you're raised as sort of to think that the Caribbean is an extension of the UK, and we're sort of brought here, like you were brought here, to be part of the workforce and to be a part of the country and then the rebuild of the country, which probably does create a sort of level of hierarchy kind of feeling in terms of them when the Africans come here who aren't in that same, don't have that same, like they're coming here purely for the want of opportunities and the want for better lives for their children, etc., etc. So I do think maybe that does create some sort of hierarchy feeling when when these people come over and you sort of felt like we're here as British people, whereas you are here as other, or as you want to see it, But then I also think on the side of the African side of things, I do think in terms of where the stereotypes and negative perceptions come from, I do think again talking from my mom, talking from my dad, there wasn't like the level of understanding of the Caribbean beyond those stereotypes. Like they didn't get to learn about Cicely Tyson, they didn't get to learn about Marcus Garvey. You know what I mean? They weren't learning about these sort of people. In terms of Caribbean culture. Their understandings of Caribbean culture was Yardman, Rastaman. That was it. You know what I mean? That was basically the bulk of their knowledge, and the perceptions weren't always the best. You know what I mean? So then I was also thinking, if then you've come here, and then there's a level of quote unquote hierarchy, uppity behavior, whatever you want to call it, any sort of negative behavior towards them. If you've come to this place and gone, oh, all I know of these people are quote unquote negative perceptions, and then the first few people you've interacted with, you've had negative interactions with, I can picture obviously that would then maybe lead to you then going, oh, well, they must be then the stereotype. Because everything I knew of them was the stereotype, and I've bumped into them in real life, and they're still showing certain elements of the stereotypes, quote unquote. You know what I mean? And then they'll come that level of sort of ignorant thinking and think it's reinforce their sort of learning of whatnot. You know what I mean?
Question. Correct me if I'm wrong, both of you. Wasn't Ghana and Nigeria part of the empire?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you all feel as though UK is also an extension of?
I'm glad you mentioned it, because that is one part I was gonna kind of disagree upon, because I think it depends on the wave that came. So the earlier wave, a lot of them felt I have every right to be in Europe. So if you spoke to somebody who's Congolese, they'll say, wait a minute, no. Based on the fact that we're taught French in school, in fact, they even changed the curriculum where they made French like the main language and stuff like this. We want to be part of that whole Belgium, whatever it is. We're going to come there. I've spoken to some Nigerian people, a lot older, who basically speak about the times when they were part of, at least they felt like they were part of the British Empire to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Because they saw white people in their land interacting. They were part of, I'm trying to remember one particular guy that I spoke to. He's probably about 80 something now. But anyway, that's another story. But so I think it depends on the wave. Because we came after the Caribbeans, there was still the first wave that came from Africa that I think believed they were part of the British Empire. You know what I'm saying? But there was another wave that I think didn't. And also, I think it might depend on why you came and how you came. So, for example, if you came and you were allowed to come in with less resistance than somebody else who actually tried to maybe, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a way that they would maybe come here. But basically, not necessarily to do like a professional job, for example, like teaching or whatever it may be. I think your experience is different as well. You know what I'm saying? And also the thing you mentioned about Marcus Garvey and stuff like that. I think a lot of people, especially like my dad's generation, they knew these things. But at the same time, I think Ed does have a point, because I think it does depend on the person. But again, the first wave, those that would have come maybe on particular visas, they came to study or whatever it may be, they knew certain things. You know what I mean? They were educated to some degree, so they knew about those people. I think where it changed was the experience. You've now got Caribbean people who have come and experienced the British Empire in the way that they would never imagined. They're now seen as tertiary class citizens. You know what I'm saying? And that relationship with authority and stuff like that is completely changed things. And I think when they've now seen another set of black people come, I think it's put them at odds. I don't think they necessarily. And when I say they, I'm basically saying both sides. I don't think they necessarily saw each other as people that would be part of the same team, for example, fighting against a particular enemy. I think it's more so like, we've been here first, we fought for this, and we're not going to allow you people to come here and take from what is ours.
Yeah, I get what you're saying there. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I think that's where some of the tensions come from.
Yeah, that definitely. No, that could be a part. Yeah, so almost a level of competitiveness between them for like the resources and for the
exactly.
Right, yeah, I hear what you're saying. Now. Yeah, I hear you.
Good morning, chat with Nats. Good morning, Christy. Isaac, let's try again. Let's see if anything has changed on your end. Yeah,
man.
Nothing again.
Isaac, we need to sort this out, man, because we want to hear from you, man.
Yeah, we might need to put a little fund together to get you an iPhone or something. I'm just joking, Isaac. I hope it is that you're not taking anything serious. Tishana, let's go to you. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm okay.
All right. What are your thoughts?
How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored. Thank you very much.
For me, I would say I definitely grew up myself with a lot of. At the time, I didn't realize it because I was a lot younger, but ignorance towards, I guess, this, as we call it, the Caribbeans versus Africans and who's better than who. And I think I sort of followed that narratives because certain puzzle pieces in my life almost affirm those narratives. So one of those puzzle pieces would be, my parents are Jamaican. I didn't grow up with a dad in my household, and I'm sure there are plenty of African people who haven't grown up with a dad in the household, but it just so happens that whenever I went to my friend's house who were mostly Nigerian, all of their dads were in their households. So I would like sort of check off these little things in my mind of, okay, over there they got things together, over there they stick as a unit. Whereas all of my cousins, when I went to sleep over, it was only the mums in the houses. So I would, in my mind, this would be my education that I would be giving myself at maybe like 10, 11, 12. Okay, Caribbeans are like this and Africans are like that. And so in some ways, I saw them as like more put together as Caribbean people. I think some other experiences that I would have is, even though like some of my closest friends at the time were, as I said, Nigerian or Ghanaian, their mothers would kind of like love me, I would say, but it would be like this one tip of like, although I don't like Jamaicans because they're this and they're that. So I also sort of had to be reminded that because of where I'm from, there's like a stain almost on my name. And then like the last point I would give is, there was one more thing I was thinking of. Yeah. There was one more thing I was thinking of. Oh, okay, music videos. I think I also grew up seeing, when it comes to like dance or music videos and stuff like that, there was a certain provocative, very overly sexualized way that in the Caribbean it seems that we express ourselves. But then it's confusing because growing up with a Caribbean mother, everything that is seen in the music videos is like would be shunned by my own mother not to behave like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the culture is pushing something that both, even my father and my mother, if they saw me behaving like that, they would look at me like I'm a disgrace almost. So then you don't know what line or what to be proud of or what not to be proud of. And then I've got my friends down the road that's not something that seems to be so encouraged at that time. I don't know the state of music videos in Afro beats today. I don't know the state of what that looks like right now because I'm just not so in tune. But I know from like Chop My Money days, yeah, the girls will be dancing and that. But I never really saw nothing too raunchy or too like, I don't know, girls longing out their tongues, or I never really saw that too much. So yeah.
Good points. However, to the music bit, right? I'm sure that you know that in Jamaica they have different genres of music, right? Because I don't know if it is that you ever saw any of one of the biggest exports of Jamaican music is Bob Marley, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if it is that he was doing any of the dancehall stuff.
No, he wasn't. So it's like Bob Marley's there, but I think that it's almost like they're negative. Oh, I don't want to use the word negative, but I'm using
it's
the
your
word
people,
negative.
so you are more licensed to say that than Emmanuel.
The reason why I call it negative is because as I'm saying, we're brought up. No, don't behave like that. But these are what the music videos are showing us. So that's why I'm using the word negative.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like that overshadows. And when it comes to most music videos today, if you're in a barber shop, most times when you're looking at these very sexual music videos, it's like almost like soft porn in a way. And these are the things that are more so highlighted than Bob Marley singing "One Love and Peace and Joy and Re-te-te." People want to look at girls shaking their ass and showing yash and whatever. It seems to be what the media loves.
But thank you very much for your points so far. I don't know much about a lot of the old school music that y'all was saturated in when y'all grew up and whatnot. But I've seen some videos from like Congo and whatnot where they have, I don't know if it's souk, where they have that type of dance hall type like representation.
Is it old school?
Yeah, very, very old school.
Okay.
And it was like ladies just shaking the bum.
Okay, yeah.
I think that I saw that first and before I saw dancehall.
Oh, serious?
Yeah. Because obviously what I was exposed to.
How did you see that?
That part of the internet. So I saw those particular videos before, and it wasn't even choreographed. The graphics were really, really poor, but it was just layer of bum and.
But what exactly is it? More so like, because obviously Congolese people, they're very the waist. They love the waist, isn't it? Shake, like, you know what I mean, winding the waist and whatnot. But that's part of the culture, and not seen as something that's sexual and degenerate sort of stuff, innit? Like what Tashanda's basically
So
saying.
you, in saying that, have you seen some of the dancehall stuff that she's talking about?
Yeah, but she's not just talking about dancehall, though, innit? Is she?
Did she mention dancehall?
No, I think you put that in there.
I mentioned dancehall?
I did.
You mentioned dancehall? Okay, cool.
And when she says dancehall, I'm only thinking of a particular type of dancehall.
That's what I'm
thinking
too.
of on top of the speaker, jump off, bang, 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 bang.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's because maybe we don't listen to. Well, I don't anyway. Listen to like music like that, innit?
Amen.
So obviously, I'm totally the wrong person to speak to in terms of like the other people that would have been having positive stuff in their message. You know what I'm saying? Like, but still part of the dancehall genre. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't know.
All right. Thank you so far, Tashana. Who have we got? We got Christy. Go on, Christy.
Morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Share your thoughts, please.
Oh gosh, there's just so many. Where do I even start? I think it's such a nuanced conversation because I feel like there's so many things at play at the same time.
Yes.
So I'm gonna jump out of the British. Obviously, I know I'm not American or anything, but I'm just talking of what I've observed over time, I guess. And I think where now I've noticed like there's just so much of this visceral talk about delineation. That's what they talk about in the FBA a lot and stuff like that. I feel like I noticed a shift. Only speaking from my perspective here, please. I could be wrong or whatever. I'm just speaking from what I've just observed over the years and just my thoughts. But I feel like I noticed a shift more so when COVID hit. I felt like the noise got really loud between this whole Africans don't like African Americans. I feel like it got louder when COVID hit and we was all on lockdown.
Clubhouse.
And that's when I started hearing a lot more of the rhetoric. That's why I kind of noticed it. I feel like before, maybe because social media wasn't a thing, so we couldn't really hear much. I feel like Clubhouse definitely brought the demons out. Personally, to me, it was a free for all on that app where I just heard a lot of rhetoric. But I thought, because again, like mentioned Tariq Nasheed and all that kind of stuff, how he started, I was just like, I don't even know how he's got to where he's got to now. I'm just like, wow, that's mad to me, because I used to be a fan of him, not no more. But I feel like the problem is I'll speak from a Nigerian perspective. When Nigerians come or go anywhere, and it's hard because I'm also speaking from Yoruba's perspective as well. I feel like, just being honest, we have this thing of like we're very culturally prideful. So anywhere we go, it's like it's kind of us kind of thing. So it's kind of like a takeover spirit kind of thing. So that's how I view it. It's like a takeover spirit. So I thought, and when I feel like what kind of happens is there's this kind of view of we're holding on to our culture and stuff like that. So anywhere we go, because we're holding on to our culture so much, it's kind of, that's what's in the forefront. So and I think also there was a lot, obviously based on culture as well, there's a lot of ignorance portrayed. So for instance, a lot of the narratives could have been like, when we go to America, they were kind of viewed like, they're black people, but culturally we're different. So I think obviously the culture got magnified, and it was kind of like, I'm sorry to say, certain Nigerians, they was like, the mentality is, especially if you're coming from like, I guess, an immigration standpoint, I'm going to keep my head down. I'm making money because I want to send it back home. I'm going to do anything in my power to stick in this job. So whether I've got to coon in this job, I will coon. I will play up to the whites because they were viewed as some better of some sense. In some sense, like I've got to fall in line. Oh, I need to separate myself because I'm not them. I'm different. So I think that was a lot of, that was let me not say a lot. That was some of people's attitudes. So that could be, I can see how that would rub African Americans or Black Americans the wrong way.
Pause. This is good. So are you saying, or could you also say, Christy, that Nigerians idolized whites far too much for the Black Americans?
Yeah, I think I would say, because given their experience, what has happened historically to Black Americans, obviously there's like all the movements, there was a wider consciousness. Whereas the problem is in Nigeria, obviously, yes, we went through colonization, but because colonization affected us in a different way, it wasn't slavery. But obviously, yes, not to say that colonization wasn't bad, but colonization affected us in a way that there was a lot of brainwashing. So where the colonization affected us, it was more so to kind of be under, like, obviously we're under the British, so it was kind of like they were ruling a lot. So a lot of even till today in certain Nigerian curriculums, they still hold the British curriculum. Why are we using the British curriculum in 2025? In Nigeria, a place that we've gained independence from. So it's so steeped in that. So if we're now taking on the British curriculum in terms of education, the British curriculum even here don't really speak about the nuance of American slavery and what the chattel slavery. It doesn't even go into detail, let alone in Nigeria. To them, it was just a very surface.
Right word though.
It was very surface level. It's like, okay, yeah, they were lost people. They got into slavery, and that's that. Nothing was really told to them in depth. So a lot of ignorance was told, or even when they got to when they're going to get their visas in the embassy, a lot of tropes were like, when you get there, you need to act like this. Yeah. You need to move like this. So already they're coming with some type of mentality when they get there. Or again, when they're seeing stuff viewed coming, the images coming out of America. Let's be real, the images coming out of America is obviously by the films, all this kind of stuff. How even the films have portrayed Black Americans have not been in a good light in certain senses. So if that's the view we're getting back in Africa, we're just getting snippets, and we're not getting a nuance. We're getting hip hop, we're getting the films and stuff. So if we're now viewing them in that kind of lens, so again, when we get there, it's just like, oh, you've got all, but and again, it's the mentality. If you're coming from, if you're leaving Nigeria because you're trying to you're leaving Nigeria because of Japan mentality, you're trying to leave, make a better life. In your mind, when you get there, you're thinking, oh, but how come I've gotten there? I've reached a certain point where the Black Americans who've been there how long have not reached a certain point, not knowing there's a reason for this. There's a system in place. But they're now blaming. They're like looking at them like, how comes you ain't gotten far? I'm here. I'm working hard. I'm doing this. I'm doing all of this, forgetting the systematic things in place. There's so many things. There's so many things at play. And again, whereas maybe when they got there on the other side, the Africans are like, oh, look at these people fresh from Africa. They got accent. They're now thinking, oh yeah, but there's it's like a disconnect. So I think like so many things in play that's informed people's perception of Africans, and because as I know it, Nigerians are like the highest in terms of. I know maybe it might differ from state to state, but Nigerians in a whole, there's a lot of Nigerians in America in terms of out of the African diaspora. So already, if there's a lot of Nigerians high already, and where they are viewed in some way, it kind of then makes it look like, oh, they're speaking for the whole of Africa. So automatically you see a Nigerian, you may think you just think, oh yeah, that's African, or the whole thing. They just lump everybody together. Just how in here in the UK it's Jamaican, and then they just lump them in as to say that's the whole of the Caribbean when it's not.
So observation based on what Christy has said so far, Emmanuel and Christy. Listen here. Let me know if this is accurate. One, they don't see themselves as Black. Right?
Africans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Because what is Black?
Definitely not.
And when they now come in this environment, they don't have the experience that you go through, that Christy goes through, because they ain't been around white people like that, right?
Okay.
So the best thing for them to quickly get up to speed is for the white man to call them nigger and treat them like us.
I don't fully agree with that, yeah, because remember, like Chrissy said, we had colonization. So remember, these people were there in the country; they stayed there. This wasn't the imperialism, just taking stuff and bettering your own. Like they stayed there, so we saw white people. Congolese people saw white people. We all saw white people.
Let's talk about Nigerians, because
okay.
The specific thing that she said that I found was really, really salient was that she said that you'll have this air of superiority, right?
Okay.
And even though you'll have this air of superiority, you're going there and saying, I'm going to do what I need to do to send money back home, right? And if that means pandering to the white man, dancing for the white man, I'm going to be doing it, right? And obviously, I think when it is that the Queen came through, died the other day, you saw some aunties and they're celebrating this, that, and next instance. You may never see that with West Indians.
Yeah.
right? And you may never see that with Black Brits because we've lived with this evil.
Yeah.
So stay on Nigerians. Don't go to Congolese. Go on, continue.
I definitely think there's been a brainwashing there in it because of colonization and stuff in it.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily think it's we come there and we have an affinity with white people. I think it's just more so like, okay, cool, we come here, and I think this is one of the biggest differences as well. Most African people have in their mind that they're going home. Nobody thinks I'm coming to the UK to stay. Not one person. And I'll be honest with you, this is definitely my ignorance, but the first time I ever heard of a Caribbean saying something about going home wasn't Desmond's.
Yeah.
I heard where Desmond had the issue with his wife, and she was basically saying, like, why do you still have this dream of going back home? And he's like, what do you mean? Because we came here, we said we're going to go back home. And she said, yeah, but our family here, our kids are here.
Yeah.
Is there really a need to go back? That was the first time I ever heard Caribbeans say that. Of course, that may just be my ignorance.
Yeah, it said a lot, by the way.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But for us, it's like, we've never seen this as home. Yeah. We've seen this as just a place we need to get something and go back. So I think that's one of the big differences. We came on a mission. Number two, you have to also factor in the reality that immigrants perform better just around the world. Yeah. It's not a black thing. It's just an immigrant thing. They have a different desire and different.
Because if it's a temporary stay, whilst you're here, make the most of it.
100%. And even if it wasn't a case of whilst we're here, it's still a case of that first generation of immigrants. They come here with a different work ethic than the kids that are born there. 100%. This is one of the reasons why Nigerians are just Nigerians. Everywhere we thrive, innit? Yeah. But it's one of the reasons why Nigerians went to Ghana and first generation and they thrived. And Ghanaians looked around and thought, wait a minute, what's going on there? And they sent them back to Nigeria because they were so like the zeal to actually get stuff done, to set up businesses and just really better themselves. Similar thing over here. But in America, they've been there for hundreds of years. That same ambition, not saying there's a lack of ambition, but that same zeal isn't the same as an immigrant's. It's the same reason why a Japanese person can can go to America and do a lot better than an African American there. Yes, there's racial systems in place to make it harder for them, but an immigrant is different. You see what I'm saying? So I think that's another thing. I don't think it's necessarily just a case of seeing them differently. I'm trying to remember what else Christy said. Can you remind me? Can't remember.
I can't, but another thing that stood out to me was this question I posed myself when she was talking. The spirit of a Nigerian, does that get diluted if he or she is in a different country for a few different generations?
Sorry, say that one more time.
So
100%. And I think it does. It does. It will.
Is that Black Robe?
It's two people. I think it's two people.
Not in America.
That's three.
Give it time.
So why I said that, right?
Sorry, say what you said again.
I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Because she laid out this theory that when they come over with a superiority, and they also come over with an experience that they don't have with white people. So they go in there, they do what they need to do, send money back home, and they put up with whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But if a large portion of the trafficked slaves were from Nigeria, aren't they still Nigerian when they have children with Nigerians? And then when they have children, yes, they're in a different land now. You're seeing a different culture now. But isn't the spirit of quote-unquote superiority should still be there because it's in you? Right? It's just now a different lived experience to those that, were back home.
But it's been so...
So in saying that, wouldn't you still look to protect fiercely the culture in which it is that you now call your own, even though it's now FBA, whatever. No.
But exactly. But do you see it as your own?
Can I jump in?
Who's this? Who's this?
Black Rob.
All right. Good morning, Black Rob. How are you?
Morning. I'm good, thanks. But do you know, like the Windrush generation, they had like a higher marriage rate than like the Brits when they came, and then after a certain amount of generations, it became less important and stuff like that. So it's like I feel like it's a change difference between us and
Caribbeans in the UK is that we're just a couple generations behind, and the deciding factor as to whether we maintain our culture is do you want to assimilate or do you want to create a moat or whatever? So multiculturalism means that lots of different cultures exist, but they coexist, but they're not like they're meshing. And then or do you want to have like, oh, everyone needs to become what Britain sees as being British, which means that the things about your culture that makes you unique and probably gives you a leg up, you have to forego that. And I think that's what happened over generations from the Windrush to now with the Caribbeans and the Africans. Do we have a moat? I don't believe we do. We just do our own thing. Everyone's all about money, and we don't have who what's it? Is it Slough that has like Bradford has like a community Slough? There's no like we got maybe Peckham and Woolwich, but we don't have like a hub. We don't this generation now, even our generation, everyone's got like, they talk about everyone's got like city jobs now and everyone's moved into different areas. We haven't stuck as a unit the way our parents did, even though they weren't as economically in the same position we are. They had their church, they had their hall parties, they had their community and stuff like that, and we're just dispersing. So that's why I said that give it 2 more generations. They weren't like the things that give us the leg up, which is the family unit, the church or the mosque or whatever, those type of things, those things that give you leg up against other communities. If we don't keep those things and keep a moat around us, then we'll just end up just assimilating and just being like the British people or the whatever, the Americans or whatever.
So you're saying
I would argue the exact opposite for America, specifically for Nigerians.
I don't know about America so much, or maybe they are having a moat. Maybe they do have a moat. I know there's Texans and stuff like that. There's Texas.
That is one thing Nigerians specifically in America do extremely well. And just, again, both my parents are Kenyan, but I also grew up with my godmother's family, who's all Nigerian. So I've been around Nigerians all my life. I also went to school in the DMV, which is a very, very heavily Nigerian area. The comparison that I see, especially between Kenyans and Nigerians, Kenyans definitely sit on the more assimilate side. Like Kenyans Americanize very differently. Like we're not passing on language. Depending on what tribe you might come from, you might grow up with certain tribal culture as being a little bit more prominent in your household. But when it comes to Nigerians, it's not just your household, but community is around you almost by force. Like you're going to Nigerian churches, you have population wise, you guys are a lot more dense in America. So it's very hard for you to quote unquote assimilate when it's very easy to find culturally similar people. They're very accessible to you in every facet of life, in your job, socially, religiously. It's just a lot more around. So that's not the same here. I think everyone else, I could probably hear it. Specifically Kenyans, I've always said this: Kenyans assimilate hard. It's bad. But Nigerians, hard pass, not the same.
Yeah.
In Britain, sorry, Black Rob. In Britain, are they not doing the same? Like the church is only Nigerian.
Yeah, but as the generations go, though, how many of us, like my age, are just going to be going to Nigerian churches?
You've been alive to see a couple of generations, right? Well, and you're still seeing Nigerians going to Nigerian churches.
Yeah.
You after church, then the children go and do whatever they want to do, right? Yeah,
but you're going there. Typically, your parents.
100%. But that's how it was before, and that's how it was before. That's how it was before.
No. But remember, the parents started these churches. Remember, we ain't been there that long.
No, continue.
So our parents started these churches. We came from Nigeria, whatever it may be. Went to these churches, continued with etc. But many of us are leaving these churches and going to
Mega Church, Hillsong.
Thank you, that's the one. You know what I'm saying? Like we've left Seller, we've left CAC, we left all of them.
Wait, they want the strobe lights. They want the strobe lights.
To do rock music.
Wait,
don't
do
strobe
that.
Lights and fedoras.
Why are they doing that? Why are they doing
strobe
that?
lights and fedoras? Because they want strobe lights and fedoras.
Why are they doing that? Why are they leaving those particular traditional cultural churches?
Because they want prosperity preaching. They want to be told that they're misbehaving. They want to be told that everything's...
What? That's the wrong information.
That's why they want to be told how great if they behave themselves.
There you go.
If they behave themselves, they'll become a millionaire.
Horns for that, Brent. Horns for that.
No. This is funky facts, man.
No, Black Rob's talking truth, man.
You're saying they want prosperity. In Africa, you got prosperity flipping gospel.
Where does back
come from? They brought it from there.
Where does back come from?
The same African shows. What are you talking about?
A lot of the Nigerian churches, this is just my experience. Let me not generalize because some people don't know the difference. A lot of the Nigerian churches, and I had a very long discourse with my godmother, who's also made the decision to leave Nigerian churches and start going to the Hillsongs of the world. They're very, it's like a accusatory culture. Like the word I'm looking for is condemning. It's everything condemn, 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 condemn. Like whereas at the churches like Hillsong, it's come one, come all, come as you are. We're gonna praise and worship. Come in your jeans and t-shirt and bands, and let's worship together. Like that's not the case.
That has its
I would
problems in
also say
itself, though.
African churches, yeah, like the weird. The religious part of it is very strong, and the politics of it all is very strong. And some people just don't want to do that.
Yeah, and I also had one more thing to add. I thought it's a theory, but I don't know if this is true. But this is my theory, and it may be not something that maybe Americans would like to hear. But Africans in America, for the most part, they were the butt of a lot of jokes in the 90s and the 2000s and stuff like that. You got Michael Blackson. You got the way we were represented was just like a bit of a joke, right, in the media. But we just took the L because we didn't care. We're there for money. We weren't there to be the coolest kids on the block, innit? We just if we're making our money and everyone thinks we're losers, that's all right because that's what we were there for, kind of thing. And then when the tide shift culturally, so Afrobeats got popular. They started I think even Fox News started doing pieces about where they wouldn't just talk about the black community, they would segment them Nigerians are doing really well, and then we in the media we became the model minority, the same way the Chinese are to that's when because there's this thing called American exceptionalism. So Americans are trained from birth to innately believe that they're better than everyone else because of the patriotism, because of the America, USA, equals guns, whatever. So they British people are quite cynical. If someone says, "Oh yeah, UK shit," they'll be like, "Yeah, it's kind of shit, isn't it?" You can't say that to American; they'll be offended because they've been taught from day one that they're the best. So when you break that narrative in the minds of even Black Americans, what, we're not the best. There's a group that is doing better than us. They get defensive and then they attack that group. So I think a lot of what's going on with this whole FBA is a reaction to the narrative of American exceptionalism being challenged by a group of immigrants doing better than the indigenous people.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
And that's why Tyler. Do you know Tyler? There's lots of Black American women that hate Tyler, but they don't know why.
Yes.
And I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, 100%.
Thank you.
Rihanna came out today.
Thank you so far, Black Rob. Sorry,
Rihanna came out today.
Sorry, Black Rob. Sorry, Black Rob. Good morning, Subi.
Hello. Thanks for letting me in.
We can't hate you.
Yeah, you're too soft. It's not loud enough. All right. Good morning, Chat with Nat. You've been patiently waiting. Yeah.
Damn.
You did this last time too.
Nat,
my guy cut me off. No one else had to say anything.
No, but
I think you hit it right on the money.
Kick him off the stage,
Okay, I'm joking.
Continue your point. Sorry, Black Rob. Please finish your point.
The last thing I was saying is that if Rihanna came out today, she'd have the same problems, but she came out at the right time. That's what I was going to say, and that was it.
I could have let you finish that, to be honest. That was
nice. You could have.
Yeah, but I passed.
I was also going to say, to Black Rob's point as well, this is why a lot of the time when we do hear about these young black kids who are doing their GCSEs at bloody 6 years old, going to Cambridge at 12, they're all Nigerians.
Yep.
And they really are. They really do specify the fact that they're not just black people. They are African or they're Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? So like Black Rob was saying, you start to see that delineation between these groups and stuff like that, innit? So, but yeah, man.
Can I say something? Because I don't think that's correct.
Okay, talk to us.
I think that actually speaks way better to the question, the overall question. And this is one of the things that I can definitely understand what makes at least African Americans dislike Africans in the context of this conversation. I think people's reason for disliking Tyla is extremely valid. I think the way she grossly mishandled the whole black thing, or what was the word? The whole colored thing.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. She just wasn't able. No one was on her team to really teach her the impact of how that type of rhetoric impacts the Black community, and I think even in her attitude is very showing of history behind that kind of war behind the diaspora versus Africans. Like what particularly rubbed me the wrong way and what kind of made me write off Tyler just as a person outside of her music was the Breakfast Club interview and the way she just dismissed the entire conversation. Like, oh, you kind of owe it to the people who are actually funneling a lot of traction around your music to at least give them. It might come from a place of ignorance by definition, because as Americans, we aren't too much exposed to different cultures, especially African cultures, and the different contexts and subsects of different things as they exist in different countries. And that's a whole other conversation for another day. But as someone who is profiting directly from Black audiences, it costs you nothing to just explain the history of where that word comes from. And she might be tired of having to say it, but when you're on a platform as big as the Breakfast Club, you don't pick an attitude the way she picked and kind of dismissed it. It very much implies the way she even just turned her eyes and was like, this conversation is beneath me. Like that adds to the whole Americans think that African Americans are beneath them. Iman, you brought up a point about education. That's another thing here. The way we our culture has, like I said earlier, prioritized education and higher achievement. Someone said it in the chat. African culture prides excellence in all aspects. Education is just one of them. Whereas African Americans, that's not to say they don't strive for excellence, but there are a lot of the what's the word I'm looking for? The generational racism, and the way that impacts things in this country. Definitely, I think it shifts their priorities. And I could be wrong for saying this. I'm just speaking again from my experience. It puts them in a mode of survival sometimes. Like I don't have. Sometimes I come a lot of people who they don't have the luxury to be worried about excellence in every field when there are different things survival wise that are more of a pressing priority for them and their families. Like we a lot of Africans have the benefit of having a nuclear family where a lot of African Americans do not, and that impacts a lot of things. So sometimes to us we see it as, we're excelling and we're doing better, so we must be better. I've heard that. I've seen that. I've seen that said. I've seen it projected. I've lived this for 25 years at this point. It is a thing, and it is something that a lot of Africans teach their kids, and a lot of kids in my generation, the first generation, have pushed back on it a lot and have taught our parents better. But that doesn't completely wipe away the stain of what was happening in the 90s and the 80s when our parents came and were treated away. And because they were treated in such a way, they excelled in those areas and they thought it was just to then combat it with, well, you can call me all these names, but honey, show me the grades. Where's those the way that they kind of fought at each other. And it's unfortunate, but I think there's room for improvement on both sides is what I'm trying to say. And some of them comes from a place of ignorance, and some of it comes from a place of like, y'all are both wrong.
Hello, is my microphone working?
Yes. Who's this?
Sorry, I changed mic. This is Subi.
Okay, yeah. Good morning, Subi.
Hi, my name's TJ. Quick background: I'm Nigerian and British mixed, white and black.
Okay.
Grew up
a little bit in Lagos.
Okay.
And I'm visiting back the UK for Christmas period and whatnot, but I currently live in Uganda. I have a Ugandan partner.
Nice.
I'm part of a Diaspora group I have a YouTube channel, by the way, similar subscriber count, like what you guys are doing.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have I'm part of a Diaspora group in Uganda where it's people that Americans mostly. I'm the only Brit that have moved to Africa to start a new life. It's actually organized by O'Shea Duke Jackson, who lives in Uganda. And
I think I follow his YouTube channel.
Yeah, he's got
big up O'Shea.
Big him up, man.
Multiple channels.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing very well. Now, he's a Pan-Africanist, and many in the group are Pan-Africanists, and they want to see, sort of Black people unite. But I think there is a miscalculation of just how divided Black people are. We are extremely divided. Tribally, we're divided. I think everyone wants to be part of a tribe. And whether it be Tyler in South Africa, whether it be the African Americans, whether it be the Caribbeans, they don't have their, like, let's say, foundational tribes, and they're searching for their tribe to belong to. And calling the tribe black is not good enough, because we are all split culturally. So there are 1,000 ways to divide black people, and it just means that there's conflict everywhere. The Ugandans are divided by tribe. The Nigerians are divided by tribe. The South Africans are divided. You know, everywhere you go, there's tribalism, and I see it firsthand when I'm on the continent. The African Americans can resent the Africans, and vice versa when they're in Africa. The Africans that go to America, you know, they have different values and different views, and then they don't like ratchet culture. And the division was there. I believe the division was there even before white people turned up on the continent. And I believe that division contributed to the ability for things like slavery and all of the colonialism to happen. So I have become desperately, you know, I thought I was gonna go to Africa and see this beautiful, wonderful unity, and there is some of that. But the truth is, if you get it only appears when there is an other, when a group of Africans are in a space where there is an other. Let's say a Kenyan, an African, a Jamaican are in a place where everyone is white. Those guys could say, you know, they could congregate around their blackness. But let's say you went to a Yoruba event, and you know, there's now a Jamaican, you know, you name it, an American, whatever. The divide starts to happen.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, this is my 2 cents. I'm desperately frustrated with this, and I don't really see a path forward unless we decide to chuck out the grifters. By the way, that's Umar Johnson, on all these guys.
Yeah.
I think we also need to focus on what can be done moving forward, rather than continuously looking at what happened in the past. I know there's a lot of negative things that happened in the past, but again, being in East Africa, I became aware of the Arabic slave trade. There's a lot of black on black slavery going on. Another thing that I was desperately surprised at and desperately frustrated around, the fact that many people don't know about this kind of stuff. So if Africa did manage to get united, it would be the greatest continent on the earth. It would be unbelievable. Everybody knows that, but the division is just so deep, and there's like a brokenness amongst black people that I don't know how we're going to get past. That's my 2 cents. Thanks so much.
Thank you again, yeah, for calling up, yeah, and even fixing your mic and come back on. You in the UK right now, yeah? Still?
I'm in London right now, yeah.
Okay, when you going back home to Uganda?
February, 1st of February, first week of February.
Okay. Well, I never usually do this, by the way. But do you want to come to the show? Come on the show.
Come on.
Yeah, I would love to.
All right, cool. I'm gonna message you, or you want a Discord? Yeah, obviously you are in it. Can you message me
on the Discord? Yeah. Yeah, I only signed up to join this conversation. I don't really know how to use it.
Okay, cool.
Who do I message here?
To be honest, I will send you a message. Now that I know what your name is on here, I will send you a message, and we will connect.
Yeah.
And we'll get in the studio, because this will be a fantastic
100%. Definitely before you go back. All right, beautiful. First thing I was gonna say to you is, because we don't have much time, but let me just ask this one question. How do we kind of, from your perspective, still be proud of our tribal, our ethnic groups, but still have that unity? Because me, myself, I'm a Pan-African as well, but I'm very proud of being a Yoruba man. You know what I'm saying? So how do I kind of express that without trying to be divisive?
Comes from mutual respect of other cultures. So we can celebrate our food, our music, our culture. We can celebrate all the things that make us. You know, I'm Yoruba. I can celebrate all the things that make me Yoruba and my history. But then when I see other cultures that have things that perhaps wouldn't be acceptable in my culture, but that is their culture, or wouldn't be taken in, that my culture perhaps wouldn't practice, I must respect that, understanding that's not my culture, that's their culture.
Yeah.
And I have to recognize that this is an individual thing, but we basically have to recognize that we have things in common and connect over those things that we have in common. It's the problem is when you start to say, well, my culture is superior because look at the way they do this, look at the way they do that. So I actually spent a year in South Africa before I was in Uganda.
Okay.
And the funny thing is in South Africa, I'm considered colored. In Nigeria, I'm considered white, or Uganda, I'm considered white.
Yeah.
In UK, I'm considered black. And so I've been navigating these differences my whole life. And the bottom line is preserving the things that make you who you are for yourself whilst respecting others. Sorry, I guess I repeated that, but
that's all right.
That's the way I view it.
Okay. Beautiful, man. Thank you.
I've sent you a message, Subi, and it's from him, HIM. So if it is that you just respond to that, we can connect.
This is in Discord.
This is in Discord, yeah.
Say how you get the message, because I struggle as well.
Do you have an iPhone?
Oh, here we go. I'm on my Windows PC.
All right then.
Yeah. If I leave a comment in the comment section of your YouTube channel,
yes,
maybe we can communicate that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Please do that, and I'll give you the email address, so then you can basically send an email, and we can go from there.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
All right.
Does it trigger you when it is saying, do you have an iPhone?
Me? Of course not.
Okay.
You know, Android's better than iPhone, Brent.
All right. Thank you, everybody who's participated in the conversation today. We will probably continue this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you to Shannon. Thank you, Subi. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Black Rob. Who else was on here and then jumped off?
Isaac tried.
Isaac, thank you very much for contributing. Anybody else? Hopefully I didn't miss anybody else, but bless. Yes. We're gonna move on to the next headlines. All right, here we go. Thanks.
All right, people. So our next set of headlines: the Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, Parliament of Spain, proposed an unprecedented tax on property purchases by non-residents, non-EU foreigners to address Spain's housing emergency. So this was going to be in People's Journal like a couple of days ago, I believe. But yeah, long story short, in 2023, non-EU residents purchased 27,000 properties, primarily not to live in, but to generate profit, worsening the housing shortage. At least this is what they're saying, right? Foreign buyers, including EU residents, accounted for 15% of Spain's housing market in 2023, 87,000 out of the 583,000 sales. Non-residents are defined as individuals who live in Spain for fewer than 183 days in a year. The measure aims to prioritize housing availability for residents, though details and a timeline for parliamentary approval are yet to be provided. The tax burden that they will have to pay in case of purchase will be increased up to 100% of the value of the property, in line with countries such as Denmark and Canada, you know, the socialist sort of countries. Absolute bonkers. But again, they won't recognize the impact of this until it's done. Next headline: South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol was arrested 6 weeks after his failed attempt to impose martial law. This according to Yonhap news agency. Police initially faced a standoff with Yoon's security service while trying to access his office. Later, hundreds of officers used ladders to scale barriers and also to enter the property. The Corruption Investigation Office and police are investigating whether Yoon's martial law declaration on the 3rd of December amounted to attempted rebellion. Yoon declared martial law on the 3rd of December, deploying troops around the National Assembly. The measure lasted only hours before politicians lifted it. On the 14th of December, the opposition-dominated Assembly voted to impeach Yoon, accusing him of rebellion. His presidential powers were suspended following the vote. Next headline, Elon Musk is being sued for failing to disclose his purchase of over 5% of Twitter stock on time. Musk bought the stock in March of 2022, and the SEC claims that the delay allowed him to buy more shares at artificially low prices. The SEC alleges that Musk underpaid by at least $150 million due to the delayed disclosure. The SEC is seeking a civil fine and for Musk to forfeit profits that he was not entitled to. SEC rules require investors to disclose when they cross the 5% ownership threshold within 7 days. Musk did not disclose his stake until the 4th of April 2022, 11 days after the deadline, by which time he owned over 9% of Twitter. Twitter's share price rose by more than 27% after Musk's disclosure, and then Musk later bought Twitter for $44 billion in October 2022, and obviously, as you guys know, he renamed it X. Next headline takes us to South Africa, where rescuers, this is a bit of an update from yesterday's sad news about what's going on in South Africa. Basically, rescuers have now retrieved 36 bodies and 82 survivors from an illegal gold mine in South Africa. Survivors face charges for illegal mining and immigration. Hundreds of miners and more bodies are still trapped. The miners were illegally extracting gold in an abandoned mine and had been in a standoff with authorities who cut off their supplies to force them out. Rescue operations have been using a cage-like structure to retrieve miners from over 2 kilometers underground. 2 kilometers, you know. Rights groups and activists have criticized police tactics, claiming that miners are refusing to leave the mine. The mine, which is near Stilfontein, has seen tensions between police, also the miners and also the locals, since November, when authorities began to try to remove the miners. South African officials have refused to help the illegal miners, with the government describing them as criminals. Illegal mining is common in South Africa's gold-rich areas, where abandoned mines attract informal miners seeking leftover deposits. Next headline, and new users flock to Chinese social media app Rednote ahead of a potential US ban on TikTok. You heard of Rednote, bro?
Yeah. And the thing is, when you go to the app store, it's in Mandarin.
Oh, is it?
Even the name, like.
Oh, man. Well, a TikTok refugees live chat on Rednote attracted over 50,000 American and Chinese users. American users joined veteran Chinese users in discussions, including topics about food and unemployment, though some raised sensitive issues such as differences in laws between China and Hong Kong. Rednote, which is known as Zhanghongshu in China, surged to the top of the US download rankings, fueled by users looking for an alternative to TikTok. Over 700,000 new users joined Zhanghongshu in 2 days. US downloads of Rednote increased by more than 200% year over year and 194% from the previous week. The app's growth has surprised the company, with efforts underway to moderate English language content and also to develop some better, well, I put in the word better, but to develop translation tools. Last headline, I know you guys may laugh at this, but long story short, a 53-year-old French woman by the name of Anne, she was scammed out of 830,000 euros. Why? Because she believed that she was in a romantic relationship with the actor Brad Pitt.
800 and what?
30,000 euros, 700k pounds.
Bloody hell.
She's an interior designer, and she thought that they were in love, man, after a year-long online relationship. She was tricked into transferring money for Brad Pitt's cancer treatment.
Cancer treatment? She didn't check online to see if he had cancer.
No, but remember, they're in a relationship, so obviously he only told her.
Oh, yeah. Fair.
So, yeah, it was allegedly needed after his accounts were frozen during his what? His divorce with Angelina Jolie.
Ah, okay.
Oh, this is sad, man.
I mean, to be able to communicate without actually jumping on like FaceTime or webcam, that'd be a beautiful thing, right?
That's insane, though. That is insane. Well, she only realized the scam when she saw that Brad Pitt was his... Sorry. when she saw Brad Pitt with his partner in the media. That's when she realized it was a scam, yeah. The story went viral after Anne gave an interview to the TF1 program 7 to 8, which was later withdrawn due to a wave of online mockery. So social media ridicule targeted her gullibility, including a satirical sketch and comments from Toulouse Football Club and Netflix France. Everyone just got onto it. The scam started back in February 2023 when Anne, who was a former wife of a millionaire entrepreneur, joined Instagram and was contacted by someone impersonating Jane Pitt, Brad Pitt's mum. So for over a year and a half, she was communicating with someone pretending to be Brad Pitt via the fake social media and also WhatsApp accounts using AI generated images and fake documents. And yeah, long story short, she filed a police report about the scam. And that's how it all came out. Be careful, guys. AI is too powerful, man.
Picture this, babes.
Nah, unfortunately. Actually, no, there's a link there. It might be.
All right, let's see.
She is 53. 53.
Oh, man.
It's sad, man. It's sad.
Having so much money to burn like that, I'm sure she didn't like deplete her.
Nah, she's probably got loads, isn't it?
Resources, yeah, man.
Former wife of an entrepreneur millionaire.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Nah,
sad.
this is the LA Blaze stuff. It's a different link.
Oh, damn. But yes, that's it for the headlines, man. Time to pay the bills.
We have asking for a friend.
Okay.
It was the one that we did.
Okay, guys, we've got a quick asking for a friend. So this is from somebody obviously anonymous, 24 years old. For extra context, I've never felt a way about trying to get to know girls early or trying to have sex. This is obviously an update from yesterday.
Yeah.
It's just that a lot of guys that are around my age and a lot of guys grew up. They have lost their virginity and I haven't. And then it's not a matter of a thing of like, I'm like saving myself. It's just I've tried and the girls that I've gone up to don't really like me. So then I guess that's why the man them call me meaty and an involuntary celibate person. So I'm just thinking, what should I do now? Should I just save myself? If I do manage to go on a date with a woman, what should I tell them that I don't have any experience? That's the question, basically. Man, I don't even know. All right, firstly, don't tell the woman. Don't tell them you ain't got no experience. I don't think that's necessary. Unless you meet a woman who's in the same boat. If she ain't got no experience as well and she divulges that to you, then she might feel more comfortable and more special about the fact that you are in the same boat as well. Then you guys can obviously do trial and error, figure things out and enjoy yourself together, innit? But in terms of the whole, obviously your boy seeing you as meaty and stuff, I don't know, obviously it's easier said than done, but don't see yourself as meaty though. Otherwise you've lost. Like, there's no point in even playing the game. You will not only be involuntarily celibate now, but for the foreseeable future. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want that for yourself. So definitely don't see yourself as that, man. It just happens, man. It just happens. You just gotta do trial and error, man. But I don't even know what else to say. But definitely don't like divulge that information to women.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any need in that.
Don't run around calling yourself an incel either. It means something different to people nowadays. So don't do that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to reaction.
Yes, let's do that. All right, people, there were some games. Welcome to the reaction, of course. There's some games yesterday. Brentford drew with Man City 2-2. This is Premier League games. Chelsea drew with Bournemouth as well, 2-2. Nottingham Forest drew with Liverpool, 1-1. And West Ham beat Fulham 3-2.
Just calling yourself in it.
Well, also, we've got some fixtures as well, so there will be some games tonight as well, guys. So Everton's going to be taking on Aston Villa at home. Leicester City is going to be taking on Crystal Palace. Newcastle is going to be playing Wolverhampton Wanderers. And probably the biggest game of the night, Arsenal is going to be at home to Tottenham. That's going to be at 8 p.m. tonight as well, man. There isn't much else. There is some boxing out. You know what? Let me just quickly get into some of the boxing quickly. Basically,
Fury retired, didn't it?
Yes, he retired.
What do you feel about that?
I don't believe him. I don't believe. I think he's just doing. You know when somebody just does the same joke again and again.
He's retired before, innit?
Oh yeah, probably like 3 times now, 2 or 3 times. Yeah, he'll be back. I think it's just a negotiation thing. Yeah, so either people just should ignore him or basically just say he's scared of AJ, and then maybe he'll come back quicker.
Oh, negotiation with AJ's team.
Yeah, with or with like Turkey Al Sheikh to basically try and get more money and stuff to fight AJ because nobody wants to see him fight anybody else.
Yeah.
So if you don't fight AJ, we don't want to see you.
Yeah.
We respect your career and whatnot, but if you're not fighting AJ, just relax.
We don't want to see him fight the guy who beat AJ?
Dubois. Not really. It's only going to go one way. Dubois will beat him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You're so confident that Dubois will beat him?
Will beat Fury. Yeah.
And when I asked you about Fury and Usyk, you're like, if he has the eyes there, he might do it.
And he didn't.
I did it.
He didn't do it. Funny enough, he actually tried it. He did the whole, and then he kind of.
Yeah.
When I saw that,
he's still got some fuel in his guns, man.
Yeah. But you need more fuel if you're going against Dubois. And this is the thing here. This is not me saying in any way that Dubois is better than Fury. It's more so just saying certain guys who have done a lot in the sport of boxing, they're at the tail end of their career. And when you up against a hungry fighter, it just may not go to plan. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why. Again, Floyd is like the greatest boxer ever. But there's a reason why the last 5 fights, he didn't fight anyone competitive. You know what I'm saying? You just don't need that sort of headache. So Fury should not be fighting Dubois. It would only go one way. He needs to fight somebody who's also at the tail end of their career, respectfully, and that's AJ.
So Dubois and Usyk, who wins?
I think Usyk can still do the job. Because Usyk is more of a cerebral fighter. So Dubois, it will be tougher though, because Dubois is full of confidence. He's got the energy to really hurt Usyk, and I think he did hurt him in the first fight anyway. But Usyk knows he can hurt him, and I think Usyk still has enough in the tank to step it up and beat Dubois. It'll be a tough fight though.
It'll be a tough fight, but Dubois would just dispatch of Fury easily.
I think so. Not easily, but he'll get him out of there. I think he'll get him out of there. Yeah, Dubois not scared of Usyk, of Fury, and Fury I don't think has the same energy and passion he had years ago that you need against Dubois. It's the reason why AJ got knocked out of there. You know what I'm saying? AJ on paper should have beaten Dubois, but when you saw them in the ring and AJ showed him the lack of respect, kept his arms down, it was only going to go one way. Dubois didn't respect him after the first 30 seconds of the first round, and that was it. Surprised it took that long, to be fair. Yeah. So yeah, Fury, only fight we need to see Fury in is against AJ. 2 legendary, you can even call both of them legends, legendary British heavyweight boxers. Fight the best of this generation. Let's see who's the best. And then after that, call it a day. Maybe do a part 2 if it's a really good first fight. And then call it a day. And then let's just see the new generation. The Dubois, the Bacolis, the Parkers, you know what I'm saying? And then, we see what's good. But yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Obviously, news dropped yesterday that Arsenal are probably going to get Zubimendi in the summer. And then social media just went ablaze. I can't chop that up with Imad because Imad doesn't even know what I'm talking about.
I don't.
It's fine. I'll wait till Marx is back in the stew. Anywho, let's get into the wrap up.
Let's do it. All right, people. So today, amazing show. Thank you guys for calling in. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Remember, guys, please like and subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 6K subscribers. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it, people, man. The first thing we spoke about today was Tulip Sadiq. She's resigned as the Treasury Minister. We also spoke about the French theatre that's on the brink of bankruptcy because of the 250 migrants who have refused to leave. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the management of the theatre are basically saying, listen, we don't want to throw them out, you know what I'm saying, especially in this cold weather. So big up them for that. Also, we spoke about the major companies, the JP Morgans and Amazons of the world, who are basically saying, listen, this whole remote working, we're not for it anymore. It's time you guys return to work 5 days a week, 9 to 5. So this is what they're looking to implement in 2025. We also spoke about Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, who's basically proposed an unprecedented tax on property purchases by all non-residents. He's basically saying 100% tax of the value of the property. This is what we're taking, 100%, guys. Also, South Korean president, he's finally been arrested because of the whole attempt to impose martial law. We spoke about Elon Musk being sued over buying Twitter shares at artificially low price because he did not disclose when he bought the 5% of Twitter. You know what I'm saying? We also spoke about the illegal South African mine and unfortunately how the rescuers are having to retrieve more and more dead bodies, man. Unfortunately, 36 bodies so far, 82 survivors. We also spoke about everybody flocking to Red Note because people believe that TikTok will be banned in America. And we spoke about the woman and something. Basically, the 53-year-old romantic at heart who believed she was in a relationship with the legendary Brad Pitt. And of course, we spoke about the news. We spoke about the reaction, and there's going to be a big game today, man, Arsenal and Tottenham. But of course, the biggest thing that we spoke about today was about the topic of the day, which was us as black people potentially being divided by narratives and unpacking the truth about African and diaspora unity. We're going to have a part 2 to that tomorrow because a lot of you guys called up and gave us some amazing points. Yeah, man, appreciate you guys as always, man. We'll be here tomorrow, 8 a.m.
All right. As we're here, Emily sent me something yesterday and she said that this is for you.
Okay.
If you just look at the screen. This is a screen grab from the latest YouGov polls, and it shows that Reform is 1% behind Labour. And I think it's based on what we were talking about yesterday, where you were saying it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
He's never going to be prime minister. His party's never going to be in power. And I don't know, obviously, the sample size here. Obviously, YouGov is YouGov. But look,
that's insane. Insane. But of course, I mean, I still hold true to what I'm saying. I don't think people are going to be doing that. They ain't going to be doing that. No chance. No chance. Like he's got such a long way to go to be able to do that. And for this country to abandon the whole two-party system of just Labour and Tories for reform for Nigel Farage, nah. And even not even Nigel Farage, for Andrew Tate. Can you imagine Andrew Tate, the Prime Minister of the UK? If any of us see that happening, we have to leave.
Hey, Emmanuel, there was a time when people said the same thing of Trump.
Andrew Tate, though. Trump is a businessman. I get it, yeah, but Trump is different. And even if Trump isn't different, we only have room for one anomaly, not Andrew Tate. No chance. Andrew Tate. What's he done to actually be? Can you imagine him in discussions with Putin? Discussions with, I don't know, all these other leaders. What the hell is Andrew Tate going to bring to the table except nonsense?
I don't know. I mean, I hear everything you're saying. But those are the same questions one put to Boris Johnson.
What do you mean?
He was a mockery.
But he's an intelligent man. He's not an idiot.
Sorry, I do believe he uses intelligence to deceive, right? But how he was presented himself, it wasn't that way at all.
He didn't present himself that way because that was his trick. Like, you remember, he became the Prime Minister. We saw where he started.
But in the same breath, people also said the same about Trump. Like, he was inarticulate, rude, crude, brash, disgusting, foul. I mean, he changed how we do politics.
Yeah.
And then Boris copied it. And he was successful. So all Andrew Tate is doing is following suit.
No, Boris didn't copy it. Boris has been this way for time. Remember, he was the mayor.
Wait, can you remember the period when he came out to talk about letterboxes? Is it letterboxes or is it?
Yeah.
That was around time when people were asking him, why is he copying Trump?
No, he said that letterbox long before. Remember, he had said that long before he became famous. I think they brought it back up to him. This is time ago. He's got a history.
How about the?
Yeah, that same thing.
Is that connected?
Yeah. That's exactly what I thought you were talking about. The letterbox thing. Yeah, with the hijabs and stuff.
Oh.
Yeah. This is ages ago. Then it just brought up again.
Because I remember an interview with, I don't know if it was BBC. I don't know if it's Channel 4. I don't know. It could be BBC. It's probably BBC or maybe Sky. I don't know. But they were like, you've got the same person advising you as advised Trump. I think it was Bannon. Is it Steve Bannon?
Oh, yeah. And
they were saying, are you just going to copy what's happened over there because of the success?
Mm.
And he's like, well. But anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if he takes this to a level where you are questioning whether this is possible. Because Andrew Tate's not going anywhere unless he gets imprisoned.
I mean, to be fair, if he wins, then he deserves to be there. It's that simple. That's how I see it, to be fair. If it is that we can, enough of us, the majority vote for Andrew Tate to be the prime minister, then he deserves it and we deserve it. That's it.
I
just don't think that will happen, though. I just don't see it.
Yeah, because you think impossible, right?
This is how I perceive it maybe happening. If, how old is he? Probably 35 to 40, right? In that range, probably, Andrew Tate. If it was to happen, I see it maybe happening where he's totally changed himself, at least how he's presented to the public, and he comes back when he's about 55.
Trump's changed himself for this second run. He's calmed down a bit.
Yeah, to some degree, but it's still only 8 years ago. 4 years ago even, isn't it? When 8 years ago when he won, 4 years ago when he left office, he's still the same guy. The man's 70. Nobody changed at 70. You know what I'm saying? But he's been, people know Trump, you know what I'm saying, from back in the 80s. So people are kind of familiar with him. And yeah, it's different, man. Trump is different. And people, I think, liked him from The Apprentice. I don't think people liked Andrew Tate except the red pill guys and the incels, isn't it? Is that the same group? Oh, have I mixed up people?
100% is crossover.
Okay.
But you're certain with that? It's only the red pillars and the incels that like Andrew Tate. You're certain?
I don't think it's only them, but it's only... That's the vast majority. And that's nowhere near enough for him to win anything.
Wouldn't be people voting their political interests.
Yeah.
So if he's screaming no LGBTQ, if he's screaming clamp down on immigration and this, that, and the next, I 100% believe that people will vote for him just on those two.
You think the country's against LGBTQ like that? To vote for him? I don't think so. I think there's a change now. 100%. This country loves Elton John. No disrespect. But you know what I'm saying? They love Elton John. They're not going to be voting against the rights of somebody like Elton John.
I'm not talking about the gays and lesbians. I'm talking about the trans.
Okay, cool.
That's what a lot of people have a problem with. Even the gays and lesbians.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh, did you notice that, what's her name? Nicola Sturgeon. She divorced her husband.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I think it was
She's on the market now?
Yeah.
Come on,
guys. I didn't go into the story, but I don't know. Immediately when I saw the headline pop up, I thought, is she upset at him for maybe causing her to resign, sort of thing? Remember, he had the whole fiasco as well, with the finances and stuff. But her whole thing was obviously I brought this up because of the LGBT stuff and her nonsense decision to throw away all common sense with regards to the trans community. But yeah, anyway, that's a.
I'm looking forward to having Subi on in the studio because I've just had a look at his YouTube channel.
Okay.
And got some very good videos there.
Sick.
Yeah. One, Kemi Bad Knock, I went right to it.
Okay.
It's not fun. So I'm looking forward to that conversation.
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have you on the show, man. Looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, everybody. And apologize for the late start and the early finish.
Yes.
Later.
Peace.